Everyone, how is it going? And happy Friday to you. And welcome to another Coding Zeal stream with yours truly, Talk to Me Gooseman. Hopefully, the day's been going well and you're looking forward to the weekend. And thanks for stopping by if you are catching this live or catching this in the form of a VOD. I greatly appreciate you watching. So, if you've been following along with the past couple streams, today's agenda is working on the Notion API library. We're going to continue on that journey, basically 1 hour at a time, building up a project where we can interface with the Notion API to perform CRUD actions for a Notion workspace, whatever the nomenclature is. So hopefully you've been following along, and if you haven't, and you are live watching the stream, feel free to ask any questions on the way. So let me go ahead and get a little bit of background music going just to set the tone, and then we can let's try to get started. See how things go. There we go. All right. So let's talk about what is going on. Not yesterday. Last Friday, we were working on the pages portion of the API. So let's go ahead and go to the documentation real quick and go to the references. So we're continuing our work on the pages. We had completed the database and we were moving on to the pages next, and had spent the stream, working on the create page. Along the way with doing that, we figured out how we can get helpers loaded into the testing context. So when we are running our tests in the test environment, we can tell it to go ahead and load in the modules that we want for testing into for the testing context, so it's available to us to use. So that was a very good experience, and it turned out to be a fairly clean way to do that versus production and test. So we can use that pattern matching to invoke the correct function that will return back the things that we're looking to include. And with that, we were able to create a nice helper method that can be used elsewhere. And the other thing we did last time was start doing, we did a little refactoring and pulled out some of the logic that we used to build the properties for creating a page or creating a database into a dedicated module for our properties, and pulled that out. So to reference it across multiple other modules, because it turns out that when we're creating pages or we're creating databases, we're kind of sort of doing the same thing with the properties. Luckily, it's good that it seems that the API is fairly consistent in certain parts. I believe I've noticed that there's some little inconsistencies, but for the most part, it's fairly consistent. So we're able to do a little code reuse, which is nice. All right, so create page was done. We had a nice little example payload for create page also to get a response. On top of that, well, why don't we get a little example going for the create page for the type that is page type. So let's try to get an example payload for that, and we will go on our merry way as we do that. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to quickly run mixed tests, make sure all our tests are passing. We still have some debug, some logging in there as we are continuing on our adventure of implementing stuff. So we're logging out stuff nicely. All right, so let's go ahead and go IEX-S IEX mix, so we can get this running in interactive environment for our library, and so we can directly invoke create page for our little library. So the Notion API pages create page, and we are going to be creating a page for a page. The parent is going to be of type page, and we are going to need a parent. So I believe this is a page. So we're going to reuse some stuff here. So this actually might not work because I just realized that I didn't start the context use setting the environment variables. So I'm just going to type this out, and we're going to rerun the command, but loading in the environment variables that we need for the API key and such. So the properties that we need for this is we're going to need a title, I believe, in the same way. So this is the thing that I was debating, or I was thinking about, was having to make this really easy to create things. So for the properties for creating a parent, I guess technically a title isn't really needed. So actually, I think we don't even have to do anything with the properties. I think for a page, you can just create a page. It doesn't need to have anything. It just can be completely blank. Let me copy this real quick because we're going to rerun our code. So Doppler, I'm going to use my handy dandy CLI tool. Oop, little premature pasting. We got to run Doppler run IEX-S mix. Now we do the thing. Oh, let's see. A body failed validation fix. Body parent database ID should be defined instead of was undefined. Body parent page ID. So the parent, parent page ID. Let's see. So I believe I removed something when setting the page parent before that was needed. So it looks like when we were fiddling with stuff, we weren't 100% backwards compatible. So create page. So parent, a page parent. A page parent is an object containing the following keys. A parent. So I need to put type. So let's see. Am I missing that? So when setting the page parent type page ID to be more specific. Let's say database ID here. The documentation says that this is needed. Our snapshot's actually going to be out of date, I think. Our API snapshot. All right, so let me see. Is this going to work now? So I need to reload the pages module. So r then dot pages. Okay. Let's try this again. Body failed validation fix 1 body parent database ID page ID. Okay, let me pull this over here. Close this. So that's the example of creating. Let's go to the curl example actually. So for the database one, it's a setting database ID. For this, we're saying parent page ID and then that. So inside the body, it's saying that body parent page ID should be a valid UID instead it was da da da. Okay, so that's fine. I guess we're not passing. We're just not. Yeah, I guess we're just not passing the correct UID. So this is our little testing area. This is supposed to be our page. So it looks like it is incorrect. And we chopped off a number on here. So that's what it is. 9. There we go. That's correct. So what I want to do here is I am going to copy all of this. And this is going to be my next example. Create a page inside a as its parent type. Examples. Paste in our example. Get rid of this because that's just console logging stuff. And then we indent this over like that. Get rid of this here. Oh, is it only picking up? Well, right now it's only picking up one thing. Please remove the duplicate docs. Okay. So I need to move this. I can't have independent docs for each thing. So I need to just move this up here under this doc. Get rid of this. And then I guess I'm going to go ahead and just move this above just the general method there. Okay. So now if we hover over any of these, yeah, there we go. We got some nice documented examples. Cool. Let's go ahead and so this change might have not been necessary. I just wasn't paying enough attention. Let's undo that change real quick and double check whether this works. Yeah, that still works. Yeah, so just doc headers or create page. Go ahead and commit that because we're making great progress. Alrighty then. What is next on the docket? You can see all these like test pages being created. All right, so we got create page down for the most part. We're just passing through data for the children and stuff like that. We're just going to keep this as kind of simple as possible with simple validations, and then we can build up on the API, making better builders for properties and stuff like that later. The next thing to work on is updating the page. So so it looks like it's just a standard patch with passing in the page ID for updating a page. Let me go ahead and kind of take one of these and let's go ahead and call it update page. Update page will take a page ID and will return back looks like it just returns back a map of data. So this signature here, the spec, seems to match up. And then we do update page ID, and the URL to that is pages, but we're not doing a get. We're going to be doing a patch. The question is, have we written in the capability to do patches into our base module? We have get, post, but we do not have patch yet. So let's go ahead and do that. So I would imagine that this whole thing is pretty much the same. Get rid of that. The only difference is that here we're doing dot patch like that. Cool. And now we can do patch here. And we need to attempt to update our page. So let's go to our test. So do we have jump to the tests. And let us write a test for patching. So patch update page. And update. Get rid of that. We don't need all this. Update page. So pages, this is update page. We don't need all of that. So let's go ahead and in our little test notion stuff, let's create a new page. Test date page. I had to come up with like some syntax here so we can always know which one of these is for what. So test. And let's go ahead and convert this into, can turn into a page. I think I created it in the wrong location. So test. We'll bring this up here. These untitled ones. Yeah, we got to start coming up with convention here so we don't accidentally delete stuff. That's for sure. So this guy right here is the page that we're going to be using for testing updates. So let's go ahead and stick that ID there. And we will expect, let's see, update page, success. We should definitely test for error conditions. Update page successfully. What should we expect back? Or what, I guess also, what are we sending? So we actually need to give this, I just realized we actually need to give this a map. So, because we need to give it properties in which we're going to be updating. Go figure. So as per usual, we're going to have properties, which is going to be a map and then also it looks like we can potentially have a Boolean for archiving. And over here, we properties. I always got to remember it's a backslash, forward slash, or defaults are archived. And we'll default to false. Set true to archive, delete a page. Set to false to unarchive, restore a page. So for our little method signature here, actually, so we are going to be expecting to be able to pass in a map here, and we don't need to pass in whether something's going to be archived or not. And our properties are pretty much the same. Like they follow the same type of structure, I believe. This endpoint is for updating page properties, not page content. To fetch page content, use the retrieve block children endpoint. Yeah, so this is just updating the properties of the page. So we can update like the name, the fields. So right here, they're setting a property called in stock, and it has a checkbox of true. Got to remember to hydrate. It's giving me database objects for some reason. So property values are for this page. The keys are the names or the IDs of the property and the value of the property and the value of the property value. And the values are property values. And property values are of a specific structure where it's the it's the type. And that's part of this. It never fails to still confuse me about how this is structured. It's like, so this is a property. The name, it's the name, and then the property title, and then we can update the title. And then details is a rich text section, and it can have different elements in it. So rich text, number, selects, dates, formulas, checkboxes. So with the checkbox one, and then after that, we would have to go down to, like, for example, a checkbox to see how we do a checkbox. Our property value contains a boolean with the text with the checkbox. Yeah, okay. It'd be great if let's see, or do these actually line up out of curiosity? Relation property, checkbox. So that's what a checkbox looks like. I'm just wondering what property. I mean, we can try updating the. We can always try constantly updating the page title to the same thing all the time. I'm just curious on if there's anything else I can do. I guess I can try changing the title twice, right? I can change it to whatever I want um, from one title to the other. So if I was doing title, it would be this. Using these formulas here, these I can probably in the future come up with a generator for each one of these types, since they all follow a specific type of structure. That can help immensely in the future. Actually, I wonder if we should try to do that anyway. Just to help even with testing. So I already have here like a set title, type text, text content title. Problem is I don't have the name of the property. Kind of curious now. Because we're doing the same thing over again and I'm always struggling. So it's like, can I make this easier on myself? Let me collapse these document headers. Set database properties. So this is generically a title property. So property value object. So these are the value objects. So I wonder if I should just rename this to property values. Rich property. Title property value. Problem is using these IDs. For a title, that just works. Yeah, so if I want to leverage this, I could include the properties thing in here. The Notion API. I don't like that it included everything else in here. Properties. And then it would be properties is equal to properties set title. Our map is an empty map, and the title needs to be so that's the test. So we're setting the title. We have the new properties. And then I can pass this properties to this. And I should be able to check for if the properties, the response back, the properties, if there is going to be a title. So I would get the properties, properties, and then it would be title. We go properties, title, text, and then it would be an array. Actually, yeah, enum at 0. And then the, what do you call it? Copilot's trying to help fill in the blank for me. Text, content. Then it would be text, content. Update page. Update page. Pages, update page. A function, notion, update page 2 is undefined or private. Did you mean update page 1? I forgot to update this. Signature. And I accidentally I redid my my mouse binds, so I think that's kind of conflicting right now. Property, variable properties is unused. Yes. So body parameters. Indeed, it's being unused because we are not doing anything yet. Let's see. Let me make sure I am doing this request right. So properties. Yeah. Set page properties. How does this work again? Set page. Is this actually a thing? It's not a thing. This is Copilot just autofilling stuff for me. Nice. Nice, not nice, because that actually doesn't exist. And then for our request, we pass in the body parameters. Oh, our spec is failing because we are not including archived. Archived. And how do you pass archived? It's just something that we add on. Put archived. And we need to default that. I thought I did this, but I might have accidentally deleted it when I was fiddling around with stuff. Okay. So that request fails. Let me double check because this might actually expose my key if I'm not careful. All right, I need to delete the cassette. because it's running, since we're kind of doing this TDD style, it deleted the cassette. Or it created a cassette. Update. Let me delete this file real quick. And then I'm going to rename things. So over here for our cassette page, update page successfully. Just say that. So it's going to re-record a cassette. And it looks like we got an error. I'm going to go into secret mode again. And our get in is the part that failed because something was missing. So when we are, okay, so here's our error. We were given ID and title in our map, and we were asking for text, but ID and title don't exist, or text doesn't exist in ID and title. So it was properties title, and then we were asking for text here, but this should have been title. Now let's maybe we're just not getting the thing that we expect back. Let's go ahead and IO inspect our response. And I'm going to hide this real quick just to make sure that our response isn't actually leaking our sensitive bits. It shouldn't, but you want to be you always gotta be careful. All right, so this is the response back. So we have properties title, and then so it's properties title. So this is incorrect here. It's double title. Like so. So properties title. And then we get into the array. And then we get to text. Then we get into the text content. And that's where we get that. But we can also get the plain text. So if I were just to grab the plain text, that might also do the trick. Yeah, there we go. And let's expand on this test a little bit. I want to do another update, and I want to update it back to the original name that I was giving it, which was test is for updating. So we're going to switch it back to that descriptive one so we don't ever accidentally delete it. And now I need to update my assertion to be test used. Let's just copy the whole thing. Like that. Let's see if the test actually passes, because the cassette, yeah, the cassette's out of date. We're doing two different requests. So I need to go in and I need to delete the cassette. And let's see how that works out for us. So running tests. So I guess a cassette can't do multiple multiple assertions. Let's look at the documentation. When we're confused and not exactly sure, let's look at the documentation and see what it says if it's directly called out. If not, I think I will just do two. Since it wraps, the cassette wraps something, maybe I just have to wrap both section, like for each block of execution have its own cassette part of that. That's moving sensitive data. We're already doing that. By default, query params are not used. So removing headers and responses. Okay, so we need to use query parameters matching our request body. I think this is what we need to do. We need to tell it to match on the request body when we're doing the cassette. That seems like that's the thing. So cassette, use cassette comma this. Okay, so I'm gonna delete this. And reduce this. And bingo. Nice. Because since we have two different bodies, we want to match the cassette along the body. And it worked just fine and dandy. Very nice. So we verified going from one name to the other name. Now I'm kind of curious. Let's go and take a look at this. And that there's the updated title for our Notion page. Excuse me, got the yawns. And let's double check. And yeah, let's write another test. What happens if we try to not do anything? Matching on the request on the body doesn't matter here. What's going to happen here is I'm going to have to delete the. So I am not sure what happens if we don't send any properties through. So it looks like the request does do an okay. It just doesn't do anything. But it should fail if we don't have a valid not valid page ID. So this 100% should fail. Might need to delete the cassette for it though. Bum, 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 bum. All right, I'm gonna put this in secret mode so that I can take a look at the error message here. Make sure that nothing's. Okay, cool. All right, so we did not get an okay back. We got an error coming back. So that's one thing. And our response. What's interesting here is when errors come back, they come back with that, and then the status code. I noticed that when we were doing a previous test of that, and I kind of don't like that, to be honest. When we are parsing, yeah, I do not want to include the status code in our bodies. I've decided. Our response has the status code in it, so we don't need to match on that explicitly. Yeah, so let's update our types here. That's gonna cause a change to our test. This is fine. This is fine also now. And then now out of the response, what I want to do is we'll just grab the code and check the code for validation error. So in here, that switches to validation error. This, all of this goes away. And we have passing test. Let's see about archiving. Let's archive successfully. We're going to do the same thing we did with the page title where we'll just toggle archiving. So properties is empty. We don't have it. We're not setting any properties. And we are archiving to, we're saying, yeah, we're going to archive. See, can we see whether something's archived easily. So parent type database archive. So archived is a top level property from the looks of the documentation. So I should be able to just be like, so get in response, and then let's just, did I get a little too aggressive here? Changing these. So it's archived. And then we expect this to be true. We're going to do the exact same thing. And then we're going to update the page again with empty properties. And we're going to say archived false. And then we're going to change this. Archived. Get that. And say that it's false. Now, is that going to pass? Looks like it did. I don't believe it entirely, so let's just tweak something here. Okay. So I set it to true. It failed. It properly archived it and unarchived it. So cool. Cool. So updating the page is fairly straightforward. Yeah, in the future, I definitely want to come up with like some sort of property builder. Just like we kind of did over here for creating a title for a page. So I think that's going to be the next natural progression to this, is after getting all the endpoints done, the next iteration would be trying to just like create a helper, the properties helper, to so people can build out their properties, their body, to send over, instead of trying to figure out how to, do set all the different values. So they can build it up and then pass it to the our little functions here. Just pass in the properties directly, because that seems to be the trend we're going with. I'll have to revisit how we're doing database actually with this idea. Properties, current ID. Yeah, this is fine. Okay. Yeah, so implement update page with tests. Awesome. So we have retrieve, create, and update page. Archiving, deleting a page is now that Boolean on update page itself. I guess before they had like a separate endpoint for that, but they just decided to set it as an update option. And the next thing that we would be doing is working on blocks. And I envision blocks is gonna, well, the API endpoints are probably going to be easy to do, like retrieving a block. Updating a block is probably going to be a little bit more involved if we want to go advanced, but I think we're just going to send in raw data, because it looks like updating a block is just those properties again. But we're going to keep this pretty thin, so we'll just accept an object, a map, that would be the representation of the properties that we're updating for the block. So this writing out tests with the sample request is probably going to be the more involved thing. um, out of the whole stuff. Um, so we reached a good point, but before we call it the end of the stream, let's go ahead and update the document for this. So we need to do, since we have this, so update properties or archive. Or delete it. Let's look at the official documentation. So I'm kind of like, what do you call it? Kind of winging it. See what the official documentation says about UpdatePage. Updates of page property values. So page properties are not set. Properties that are not set via properties parameters will remain unchanged. Okay, so the properties must conform to the database property schema. That's gonna, if we wanted to generalize this, that's gonna be a little bit more difficult thing. I'm gonna copy. And then this endpoint. Put that node in there. And then let's copy and paste the code that we have. So we create a page. So we create a page title. Let's create a property with page title. Hold on, let me restart this because I think this got into a funky state. So we are creating properties. Good. Alias, thin notion, properties, pages. This will make this a lot easier if we do this. So we got that, and then we do this. Then we do this guy right here. Whoops. Did I copy? No. Did not do that correctly. We do that, passing in properties. Say false. Then we get a response back. That's what we want. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and grab all of this, and this will be our example. Examples. Oh, interesting. Copilot is trying to be clever for us. Going nowhere. Do. And then this would wait, no test should fail. There you go. Cool. Let's just let's update doc header or update page. And there we go. So we can call it for, so I'm going to go ahead and call it for today. That I feel like that is a great stopping point and some great progress. The next time we get at it, we will be working on implementing the API integrations for blocks, and we'll just keep on going down the line until we get the simple interface for integration with Notion, and then we can tackle making things maybe, and then in the future, after all that, we can see about creating a properties builder factory of sorts for this. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. If you've gone through and watched the whole video or lurking on the stream, thank you very much. And hopefully you got something out of this. And yeah, I just hope you have a great rest of your day and a good weekend. After all, it is Friday if you're watching this on a later date. And I will catch you in the next stream. So have a good one, everyone. Until next time. Stay happy, stay healthy, and go eat something yummy. Okay? Bye.